What's going on YouTube? It is your boy QKG and welcome to a QKG review, and today we're going to be looking into why should you buy Octopath Traveler. So Octopath Traveler is a Nintendo Switch exclusive RPG developed by Square Enix, and when you hear RPG and Square Enix, that should be enough reason. However, for a lot of people, sometimes RPGs really aren't their taste, and then when you first look at Octopath Traveler, you'll just think it's another one of those type of like 16-bit or like bit type version of a RPG, and it's not modernized, something similar to Xenoblade Chronicles. And what could this game have to offer with its classic turn-based style of combat? So go ahead and strap yourselves in, because I got a lot to say about this game. And keep in mind, I didn't actually beat this game. The reason why it's called Octopath is because there's 8 different characters that you play that have their own unique story. And it's not like you can just burn through the story and be so linear. You actually have to be a certain level before you can go into certain areas. And the area is gigantic. So it's not like you can only pick up, okay, let's only do Ulbricht's story and then that's it. If you honestly did that, not saying that it's impossible, but you would have the worst time playing that game, because not only are a lot of the enemies unique, they all have different weaknesses. Not every single enemy is going to be weak to a sword or a spear, and that's all Ulbricht has. So when you're actually going through the game and getting all your travelers, each traveler is going to have their own unique story, their own unique personality, and their own unique combat style. So instead of you just going straight overwhelming force, you may have to think a little bit. You may have to use Therion's type of thief skills and either lower some defenses or lower their attack, or even use Primrose dancing abilities and boosting up your teammates or anything else in the game to give you that edge. And you just have to think strategically when you're actually going into these fights. Now, speaking of the combat, it's actually going to feature this really cool boosting system that I like. So, and not only do you have just your HP and then like your mana bar, for an example, which is called SP in this game, you're going to get BP points, also like boost points for short. So each turn you get 1 boost point and you can boost a certain ability or attack. But you can only max out by boosting something 3 times, and it's usually going to triple like its amount of damage that it can do, or its effectiveness. And I think that's a really nice touch. Now, I haven't really got into too many RPGs, especially turn-based RPGs, like within the past like 5 to 6 years. So seeing this in this game, and just the way the art style looks in this game, because don't get it wrong, even though this is more of like a classic retro look, it still looks like a really beautiful game. Like, it's really good to look at. So with a mix of that and a lot of the flashy like sound, like not even just the sound effects alone, just the flashy amounts of just everything on the screen, whether you let off a vicious attack or you do this really cool spell that hits all the enemies, it just looks really cool. Now, I know some people may have a different opinion on gameplay and story. Some people are like, okay, the game can be as flashy as it wants, but how's that story going to be? And through the very first time I'm going to be playing Octopath, by starting out on the prologue demo before I even made the purchase for the game, I immediately got attached to the story. Even though I picked Ulbricht first, I went Ulbricht then Primrose, and the voice acting is is honestly really good. I didn't expect the voice acting to be really either just full of emotion or spot on to how you would envision the character sounding. So voice acting in the game was just spot on. I really enjoyed each character's story, because the stories are not going to be really too much of the same. And then once you get all the travelers, some travelers actually interact with other travelers. You'll have Therion, he got kind of like a little thing going for Ophelia, and then Ulbricht and Primrose kind of go back and forth a little bit, just like chopping it up here and there. So it's not just like a random type of thing, because I noticed anytime Ophelia was interacting with someone, it was always Therion. And then if it's someone else that you replace in that group, they'll end up having a certain conversation with certain people. So not only is it just they have their own individual story, but some of the travelers that you have with you, or all of the travelers with you, will connect with one another based on who it is. So you actually get some type of character development, but unfortunately you don't see it too much, which I wish it would have been the main thing in the game, but I feel like they probably would have squoze in too much, which I can understand, but at the same time I just wish there was a little bit more character development amongst the travelers themselves. And now keep in mind, Octopath Traveler is not a short game, so you're gonna have to really strap yourself in for a long ride, because for a lot of the different gaps in storylines, you're gonna end up, instead of, okay, if I want to do only Ulbrich and Primrose, but there's a level gap in between. So if you want to get from chapter 1 to chapter 2, chapter 1, you know, you're at base level 1 for that character, but chapter 2 will end up being level 27. So in the meantime, instead of fighting the entire time, you're gonna end up going exploring a lot of different traveler stories, and then those travelers all have that different level gap. So it's literally designed for you to run through the entire game, get all the travelers, and then take a loop, and then take different storylines in a loop. So instead of you going from 1 point, you're going in an entire circle and not zigzagging all over the place. So one thing I noticed throughout my playthrough is that this game is using a mix of different elements in order to make sure that the gamer gets immersed into the story and also feels something for the characters. I noticed that right off the back it's going to be the environment, the art style, and then the music. And then also, of course, with the mix of the voice acting. For the most part, when you have all these things mixed together, it creates a vivid picture, and sometimes you can actually get sucked in while playing. So if you notice some of the key things in the game, you'll notice that the art style is very vivid and it's beautiful to look at. Also, when you're in boss fights, you notice that the bosses are huge and also more detailed than just about anything else in the game, to where you focus on how big and how intimidating that boss is compared to you. And then this game honestly has some of the best music I have heard in a game in a very long time. If you just go to certain areas, there were times I just stopped, pressed X on my Joy-Con, and I just listened to the music while I was in the menu, because the music honestly is that good. When you mix these things together into one, it makes for a very immersive experience, even if this game doesn't look realistic or it has that retro feel, but also at the same time, by providing beautiful visuals, it makes for a really good experience for an RPG. So in conclusion of my Octopath Traveler review, I must say that this game has made its way into, burnt into my memory, similar to a lot of the classic games that I've played, and only very few games have done that this generation, have really made their mark on me as a gamer. So for that fact, you should definitely own Octopath Traveler, and at some point, if you want to give it a shot, it is actually a free demo on the Nintendo eShop for you to try out. And if I was to rate this game, I would give this game a solid 10 out of 10. The QKG seal of approval. This game will not steer you wrong. This game was honestly probably one of the best RPGs that I've played in a very, very, very long time. So with that being said, guys, I really hope you enjoyed this review, and like I said, if you have not tried Octopath Traveler today, make sure it is the right game for you. Download it on the Nintendo eShop right now for free to try out like the first 3 to 5 hours. And if you guys have any other review suggestions you would like for me to do, leave them down in the comments down below. I will definitely get down to it. So I'd love to thank you guys for tuning in. This is your boy QKG, and peace out.